All right, and we're live. Thank you for stopping by Indie Dave Comics Channel. Of course, I'm your host, Indie Dave. We are here with the artist for the most amazing Mutant Frog comic on Indiegogo right now, Swings. How's it going, Swings?
It's going pretty well. I'm glad to be here at 1:34 a.m. just kicking it with my writer, shooting the bull and talking about this awesome project that we've got going and all the exciting stuff coming forward. And yeah, I can't complain too much. And it's the Christmas season, so I'm feeling rather jolly these days.
Hey, we got Chris
Considering
Evans.
all. What's that?
We got Chris Evans on. The most amazing.
Hold
on. I gotta unboomer myself again. There we go.
Chris is this. He's like the sweetheart of CG. The dude just gives and gives and gives, and asks nothing in return.
I think he probably wants books that he paid for.
He will definitely get the books he paid for. He'll probably get some more stuff too thrown his way. So, we all love
watching. Make sure everybody chimes in. Let us know who's out there. We're just going to be basically shooting the shit.
Yeah, we're just, free balling right now. Let the balls hang.
I just want everybody to know we're mourning the loss of Comic Book Hut as a potential customer, as a potential backer.
He blocked prayers.
Yeah, he blocked me today, and I'm just overwhelmed with sadness.
What's up, El Gargoyle?
Hey, Gargoyle. Yeah, just overwhelmed with sadness.
This witching hour. Yeah, comic book hut. So, what is his deal?
And really, I wasn't even talking. It was a tweet that it was him and Preston, and the whole the lawsuit thing with stealing Solo, and how Preston ratted him out to Disney or whatever. And I said something, and he was talking about, it's what they did was sabotaging their campaign. I was like, well, no, it's not really sabotage. I said it's kind of it's kind of snitching, but it's not really sabotage, because if they didn't do anything wrong, then nothing's going to come of it.
Yeah.
And then if they did do something wrong, well, they should have been a little more careful about it. Because it was I've said little bits. I don't want to bust on those guys too much, but mistakes were made. I haven't done a stream or anything where I talk about it. Mistakes were made. I don't think there was any malice involved. I think, if anything, it was negligence. And I'm not saying that anybody should go to jail or anybody should be sued. I'm not calling for any of that. I would never have called Disney, just because I don't really have a dog in that fight. But it was, if you piss customers off, it was bound to happen. If it wasn't going to be Preston, it was going to be some angry customer, or maybe some SJW that just happens to get wind of it and somehow gets a hold of a copy or something like that. It sucks. Hopefully they get it straightened out. I don't want to see anybody go to jail, or nobody's going to go to jail. If anything, they get sued. The worst thing that can happen is it goes to trial and they lose, and they win. Because if they win, then they have to pay a bunch of lawyers. If they lose, they might not have to pay the lawyers. But if they win, then they're going to have to pay a bunch of lawyers. So it's really kind of a shitty thing, one way or the other.
But they, for the customers, the biggest thing was getting a book basically delivered to them with no package or any. It was just kind of sent to them raw dog, right?
I think that probably. I have no insider info. I think probably what happened was there was just a lack of communication. I think I watched somebody else. I don't remember who it was, but they were talking about it. And probably what happened was the printing company pitched them the cheapest for shipping, and they were like, "Oh, that sounds good," without really looking into it.
Uh-huh.
And like I said, I don't think that they intended to cheat any customers out. I really don't think that was the deal. I think probably they misunderstood something or there was some lack of communication somewhere. It still falls on them because you really got to keep up on that and know what you're doing and know what you're paying for. But I like I said, I don't believe there's any malice involved. And he said he's going to take care of it, reprint all the books, and get everything packaged correctly.
Oh,
So
really? See, I've been so out of loop with the Twitter universe. Like, I try to keep up with everything on Twitter, of course. I mean, it kind of comes with the territory and all that. But at the same time, like when I work during the day or late at night, whatever, I take my phone and I turn it off
mhm.
or put it on silent, and I put it in the other room so that I can just draw and I'm not like getting bombarded by anything and like looking at my phone the whole time and freaking out about all the drama that goes on and stuff. So I've been kind of out of the loop with all this, and yeah, I've had a few messages like DMs talking about the solo project and kind of the misfortunes that have happened within it and all that, and it sucks to hear, and but it I mean, there's a lot of growing pains within this community, and you know, a lot of people are doing this for their first time ever. So,
Yeah. Like I said,
you know,
I suspect he went with kind of a budget print. I think I looked at them. When we were researching, I think I looked at them.
yeah,
I kind of I well, I mean, you ultimately you chose who it was because you're the big
yeah,
money man. But I think I mean their thing isn't comic books, and
yeah,
that wasn't like because they were, I mean, money wise it actually looked like their prices were decent. But like I
yeah,
said, I didn't get too far because I mean I looked at a local company. They save a little bit on shipping by like having one of us go to a local printer and picking it up, depending.
exactly.
And that was one of the initial discussions we had. And
Yeah,
that would save at least them shipping to us and then us shipping to the customers. It saves a little bit of money. And if
yeah,
I'm going to cut corners, to me, that's the that's the way to go.
uh-huh. I
Is
mean,
just if you can, whatever you can do on your own.
as long as they're like, good
Yeah,
corners that you cut, and it's not going to, you know, jeopardize the product or anything like that, like the quality of the product. And the 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 company I came across came through guys that have produced uh, high quality books through Comicsgate, and so I had a lot of help that way, and so I'm very confident in what I'm getting and all that stuff, and I'm going to be getting all sorts of you know pre-printed or production samples and stuff like that. So it'll all be set. But when you go local, like it it does get expensive because a lot of people don't specialize in
yeah,
comic books.
yeah.
It's just like they do posters and they do flyers and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But this company they do comic books, and
Yeah.
uh,
The
they,
local company I looked at, like I talked to them about it, and they were like, "Oh, you want it on newsprint?" Like they had no idea, and they had no idea
yeah,
dimensions and stuff like that. So I think they probably would have done okay, but I mean, I'd much rather go with somebody that's already experienced and knows what they're doing.
yeah, and also the company I'm going through, like they've produced several books within the Comicsgate community, and I've seen them, and they're high quality stuff. So, that was that just gives me more confidence in it and stuff. But yeah, El Gargoyle is correct there. Like when it first came out, yeah, I heard a lot of hoopla and people were really pissed and not satisfied about it. And that's I mean that just sucks for everyone, really.
Yeah,
Like it sucks for the buyer, it sucks for the team, producing this book because
bringing it back to the hut. Bringing it back to the hut is now he's making videos and he's like, don't buy any Comicscape books at all. I mean, he straight up did that video the other day. It was like, don't buy anything in Comicscape at all, nothing Comicscape. So I'm like, oh, and at first I'm like, oh man, that kind of pisses me off too. But then it's like, well, it's just Comic Book Hut. Like, and I mean, he hasn't. I think anybody that I listen to him every once in a while because what he'll do on his videos, he'll give you like that kind of spark of truth. X book is late.
Yeah.
And then once he gives you that little bit, then it becomes, and here's the conspiracy of why it's late. And they were doing this kind of hanky panky behind the scenes with Ethan and this and that and this and that. And it's like, well, I mean, it's like he can't ever just think because he has no idea what he's talking about. He's never put out a book. He's never, he's never put a book together. He's never worked with printers. He's never worked with all that. And he's kind of like, I don't want to say half right, but like I said, he's got a little spark of truth there, but everything else is ridiculous conspiracy theory. And it's like, look, I mean, you're going to have issues. It's gonna happen. I mean, as much I'm looking at all the stuff that's going on, and I'm just like, all right, now I know what not to do. I know, make sure we get proofs. Yeah. Make sure we communicate exactly what we want. We know what we're getting.
Yeah, and it's also like within this group of people, within Comicsgate and stuff, like the buyers are unbelievable because they're understanding. Like as long as you're showing that the work is progressing and the book's progressing, like a lot of them are like, yeah, well, this is an investment, and maybe it's not going to hit on time, but as long as you're showing progress within the book. Oh, Joe Ball, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, fellas? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, you're yeah, we're just talking about books being late and how understanding a lot of people within Comicsgate are, and as long as you're showing progress for the book, that they understand that most of us it's our first go around, and that we're being professional as much as we can, and we're just trying to put out a good book for people. And I've seen some really amazing books out there that didn't come close to their I won't say what books, but they're not coming close to their deadline, or they're well past it, whatever. And I backed them, and I have no issue about them being late, as long as you throw updates and say, look, the book's getting there, and it will get there, so you will get your the book you backed and stuff. And then you got what's that fucking sloth's name? Comic Book Hut, or is that his name, Dave?
Comic
just
Book
shitting on all these products. Like, don't buy these books; they're all late. They're all shit or something.
I mean, he's basically a lolcow, so luckily nobody really takes him seriously.
Yeah, that's what I said when he blocked me. That's basically what I was saying. Because somebody was like, "Well, Comic Book Hut says all these lies and stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, but nobody listens to him. Nobody cares." The people that are like, "Yeah, rah, Comic Book Hut," are already disinclined to, you know what I mean? They're already anti-Comicsgate.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was saying, I was like, "Look, if you want to save yourself some heartache, you want to save yourself a little regret, buy something that you like. Don't buy something because they fly a hashtag. Just because it's Comicsgate, don't buy it. Buy something that you like, and you'll have a lot less regret for when it shows up in your mailbox."
That's pretty much how I've dealt with every book that's come my way. Like, you know, there's a lot of people that promote my book, and I promote their book back, and they didn't buy my book, and I'm not going to buy their book. It's not because I don't think it's a good book or anything like that. It's just not my thing, and I'm not going to spend money on something that's like it doesn't speak to me directly. And if they don't buy my book because it doesn't, you know, jive with them, like that's fine. But I'm still work and put it out there and hopefully get some more eyes on it and stuff. And but honestly, a lot of the stuff within Comicsgate, I wish I had more money. Like, unfortunately, when you draw comic books for a living, it doesn't really give you that much, extra spending money or anything like that. But yeah, when I see a book that really hits my eye, yeah, I'm going to pay for it. And if it comes out on time, good. If it doesn't, I can deal with it. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Most of the time, when I buy a book, I don't even look at it when it's due. I'm like,
yeah, I have a
eventually,
few outstanding that I'm waiting on that I don't even remember what the date is on them. I know they're coming, and I know I backed it at around a certain time, but it's mostly like, and like I'm talking to a lot of these guys, especially now that we're doing our own book, we're communicating with a lot of these guys on a more personal level because we're all working on books. But now since I'm talking to them that more personal level, I'm less worried about it because I talk to them and I see what they're doing, and I'm following them on Twitter and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And as long as you keep an open line of communication with people, like I always tell people, you can DM me and, I'll get back to you. Like it might not be that day or
Yeah.
2 days later, but I'll get back to you and, talk about it. But a lot of them are like, oh, I usually get very positive stuff. I've not gotten any negative feedback except when I reposted a war campaign picture. That was the only time I started getting hateful DMs, and I was like, all I asked was if they're going to use my art, if they would put my link from my book. And it's like it's nothing crazy, but whatever.
Hey Joe, what are you working on right now? What book are you working on?
I was just getting ready to let you know that, but yeah, I'll just go ahead and say it since I'm already on the spot.
No, it's all right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call you out. I was just I'm putting a banner up. I just want to make sure I know what to put up.
No, you're good, brother. I'm working on we're wrapping up Super Harem. That's in the and that kind of circles back to a point y'all were making on the books being late is too, like a lot of people right now have stretch goals, and when you're meeting those stretch goals, it changes the equations of what you have to get done. And I think a lot of people aren't taking that into account. Like when we give the estimates, it's the bare bones estimate. Like Super Harem's estimate was for a black and white book, not a colored book.
Yeah.
Our first colorist didn't work out. He got canned, and we eventually had to go with another colorist. And, she didn't get started till, just recently. So, and she's already busted through a ton of it. So it's one of those things where there's going to be things in the equation that aren't even related to being literally late. It's just now you have more work because people have paid for more work to be done.
It's just the reality of it. Like, and honestly, as a backer for several Comicsgate books, like I'm not batting an eye when they're going to be late. Like, first of all, I probably have a different perspective because I'm an artist and I know the variables that fall into a book like this. Like we're not DC or Marvel where we can throw in another artist halfway through an issue and be like,
yeah,
we don't have that kind of team behind us. Those are resources we can't imagine. Those people are putting out 30 and 40 books a month at Marvel and DC. We don't have that. You know, we don't have Warner Brothers and Disney to help us. We have a handful of dudes on a book. So
Yeah.
And then we're really only at, you know, like we have to deal with the money that we've got, like what's been made for the book.
yeah,
You know, and a lot of people look at how much money gets made for these books, and you see like several $1,000s, and you like I think in a lot of people's heads that all that money is like profit, like right into their pocket or something.
Well, yeah,
Like,
because the
and that
books get made for free and nobody gets paid except for the guy that runs Indiegogo. So all
yeah,
that when it's $50,000, that's $50,000 right in your pocket because
and
you don't have to
I'm
pay for
telling you what
printing and shipping. All that stuff's free.
is so like I draw my book and I color it, I ink it, I do all that, and the profit off of my book is it's nothing like it's not a livable wage or anything like that, but it not at all, like at all. And when other people see those numbers and they think like all of it's going right into their pocket, that's not the case, like at all. But
more than
at the same
likely,
time,
maybe a quarter of it left over will get spread somehow to either the person or something else, if that, like, even that's a stretch in some cases. So
yeah,
yeah, and that's if you have a relatively decent run on your campaign. You know, a lot of us, almost every dime is getting recycled right back in, whether it's paying people or print or shipping or
uh-huh,
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really not a cash grab, like at all. And I mean, for some books that get up over 50, 60K, yeah, maybe they're making a substantial amount. I couldn't even say that because I don't know the numbers for those books, but I'm sure I'm sure they do a little bit better. But yeah, really, we're just creators creating stuff for people, and it's 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 not like we're banking off this stuff at all, unless you're cutting every single corner, and I'm not talking about good corners. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Well, once a lot of that comes with experience too, because once you've done one or two, you get a sense. You're like, okay, well now I know how to better estimate, and then you're like, okay, now I know how to get maybe better pricing on stuff.
yeah,
But the more experience you have doing it, you're probably gonna. I mean, I'm not saying you're gonna pocket, 50% more, but you're gonna pocket a little bit more money just because you know where the right places are to save money on production.
yeah, but at the same time, you can't sit there and degrade the actual the quality of the product. Like
Well, yeah.
you got
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like where you can cut a little bit without and keep the quality up. Because right
yeah,
now we're kind of we got all the numbers and stuff, and that's cool. But when you're first putting it together and you've never done it before, you're not going to
exactly.
know what's too much to pay for certain things and what's not enough to pay for certain. You know what I mean? Everybody thinks like postage is just you're just paying for the stamp. But no, postage
Yeah,
is paying for the packaging. It has to weigh a certain amount, and that's kind of a muddled number. But and
yeah.
some I got Doug Ernst's book the other day last week, and he got media mail. So I might just get a hold of him or Tim Lim or whatever, and be like, hey, because I think Tim Lim did all the logistics on that book, and just
Mhm.
say, hey, what do we got to do to make it media mail? If that's going to save us, bunch of money in shipping, hopefully. Then we can maybe do a little bit better packaging or whatever.
From what I've heard, it's basically saying that your book is a graphic novel and not a comic book.
Yeah, and I can't have advertising in it, and like I think Zach even said like it has to have an ISBN number and that kind of stuff. So, like I said, it's all stuff that you get your dot your I's and cross your T's, and hopefully that works out.
Yeah, those are the corners that you have to, since we're not like the first comic book or comic skate like creators throwing out a book.
Mm-hmm.
We've learned other than got some input and valuable input on some of this stuff, and it's really important to have all that stuff lined up before getting your book out there and coming up with your whole plan of attack to produce this book.
Oh, the overarching point to all this is none of it's cheap, and every single part of it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
That's what it breaks down to.
It really is. It's like it's a huge pain in the ass, and I mean, I remember of it, kind of, but it is a pain in the ass, and there's a lot of bookkeeping that comes involved with all this, and it's just like when you see this large number that this book makes, like it just kills me because I thought the same thing. I thought the exact same thing. I'd see a book that was making, $25,000-$30,000, and I'm like, these guys are banking. And then you break it down, and you look at, okay, you've got an artist, you got colors, you got a writer, you put all these variables in there, and you find out that, they might be making, $1,500 to $2,000 off a book that they put fucking a year into.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just something that I don't think a lot of people understand or consider, when looking at a book.
Well, it's still a lot better than it used to be. I remember when like $5,000 to $8,000 was like a really good crowdfund number for a random.
Yeah,
that was like a big deal number, and within 2 years we've changed that perception to 15 and 20K being all right. It's okay, nothing to brag about. So
yeah.
There's definitely been a lot of progress in that area because you see it happening with comics that are not even comic skate related. They just look good,
And I think it will continue to grow, and especially if you put out a semi-successful book. I think your second book, hopefully doubles it as long as it's a good book. Like, you keep those backers. You keep your fan base, and then you push forward, and word of mouth gets out there, and and actually having a physical book for people to look at, I think, is probably the biggest driving force behind your second book, going forward and getting more backers and stuff. I mean, just to see a physical book in people's hands that's done well and speaks volumes, I think that's something that really pushes you forward. Now, if you push a book out there that is maybe subpar or anything like that, maybe your second go won't be so good. But okay.
I think if people see the book and they see that it was an honest effort and that you weren't skimping on stuff, and that you even if there's nitpicky stuff in it, people will overlook it. But I mean, if there's like big, gaping holes, then people might be like, oh, maybe I'm not going to back it next time. They might still be nice to you, but they might. If there's nitpicky stuff, but I mean, it looks like a good, honest effort, a lot of people will be like, yeah, I'll try them the second time. Maybe they'll get it. Maybe they'll, fix this little thing or what was, little stuff. And also, if it turns out great, and people read the book, and then they get on Twitter or they get on YouTube, and they're like, "Hey, I just got Oddity, and it was great, and you all should pick it up." And the second one's going to be coming out soon, and blah blah blah, and you get that excitement. You get people excited over seeing the book.
Yeah, some people like big gaping holes, though.
Yeah. I'm a fan of all holes. I mean, ears, nose, there's all kinds of holes.
Big gaping holes. Cavernous holes.
I think too, if somebody's capable of working on like multiple projects at once and knowing that there's good quality coming out of all of them and they're going to fall in close proximity, like I'm working on like Bullet Maker, Death, and Super Harem, and they're all going to hit in 2020. So people are going to get hit with 3 different projects that I've been associated with in terms of line art, at least. So
well, you're sitting pretty right now, though, Joe. Like you're getting a lot of work in and producing a lot, and Super Harem looks awesome. The story is great. The art looks amazing. Like everything that Wanger throws out there that you've done is just amazing. And
thank you very much.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, and the only downside.
The only downside.
I like Wanger.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Could you repeat it?
I said the only downside you got to deal with Wanger.
Oh yeah. Got to deal with the nicest man on planet Earth.
Wanger, I really like Wanger. Wanger's a really smart guy. I don't know how much of it is he's playing with the accent, but I think he's a really smart guy. I really like Wanger. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he is. That's actually exactly how he sounds. He's it's not an act, but yeah, he's an extremely good dude. Like, he's one of the most good-natured, nicest, smartest people I've ever met. So I could never say a bad thing about Wingding.
Whenever he puts up a video or anything, I always retweet it. I'm like, you need to get your daily fill of Wang. Like, you should. You should get some Wang. Get a little Wang in your life. Like, the dude's hilarious. He killed. Like, I've been on Ethan's stream with him, and I was like in tears laughing as he was singing. What the fuck? He was singing some Nirvana song one time. He's wearing a cowboy hat. Probably, I'm sure he was wasted at that point. And like Ethan couldn't even talk. Ethan was just sitting there like smiling, like he had this stupid smile on his face, and I was in tears. Like I couldn't stop laughing about it. Dude fucking kills me. And I've gone on his streams a few times, and I was telling Dave this before. I'm like, it's always so lighthearted and hilarious, and then like some like ridiculous like porn type like subject pops up, and I'm like, well, okay, I gotta go take care of the kids now. Like, I don't want to get too involved in this, or he kills me though. Dude's so funny.
What's the matter, Swainsy? You don't like talking about buttholes?
I mean, like I'm not a big butthole fan. Like,
his preferred anatomical idea is nipples.
Yes,
nipples are cool too. I get it.
Yeah, well, I had 4 of them, and then I got rid of them. So
if you count your wife's, you had 6. So
I did.
You had nipples all over the damn place.
I mean, everywhere I look, there's just nipples in my face, and
Well, man, we don't all have such luxuries in life, so you better thank the Lord tonight and count your blessings, Mr. Queen.
I'm counting on them. There's 6 right now. I'm a very blessed man. That aspect.
Like, thanks for the abnormalities, Lord. They have served me well in my comic book career.
Exactly. Yeah, I still get random like DMs or like tags for in War Campaign, and they always bring up my extra nipples. And, yeah, I mean, whatever.
That's why you can't tell War Campaign anything about yourself that deep. You'll never hear the end of it. And I mean, they're my dudes, you know, and I'm still like, yeah, I'm going to be careful. I can't let them know one particular thing is a soft spot. So,
well, they did, they do that nipple doxing thing. So I came prepared, and I was like, okay, you guys want to see a nipple? So
I'll show you a gaping wound on my back.
yeah, that's pretty much it. It was so funny because I think that was one of the few times where Ro just didn't have much to say. He was just kind of like, what? But yeah, he was, dude. Afterwards, I talked to all those guys like off stream and shit, and they're all cool as hell. Like they're just dudes. Like they're just, they have fun with the shit. They like to bust balls, and yeah.
People have an exaggerated idea of what War Campaign is, and it's even sillier than War Campaign itself. So
yeah, like the whole, I don't even know what's going on with Pan and the lawsuits or whatever the hell is going on with him, but it's all insane. If someone posted my picture up on Twitter and I had dildos all over the place, it wouldn't even it I wouldn't even bat an eye on it. I'd just be like, well, that's what happens here. Like here in Twitterverse, like yeah, sometimes you get dildos thrown in your face. Like,
well, that's the thing too. A lot of people don't know if they're not like friends with somebody in War Campaign is we do that stuff to each other on a regular basis.
yeah.
Like and it gets posted publicly a lot. Like I can't tell you how many times my head has been stuck on something disgusting, and I just smile and move on with life.
Uh-huh.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, and it's still obviously photoshopped. It's not even like we put the time into to like.
It's intentionally meant to look retarded, you know.
Yeah, it's all so silly, and I don't know why people get all bent out of shape about it. It's just not worth it. Like I thought maybe I just have too many bigger problems in my life.
Yeah,
where me flying on a dildo or something like that just doesn't bother me too much. Like, I mean,
if you don't have bigger problems in life, great. But most of us aren't going to get too bent out of shape about something that's purely humor and it's obvious.
Yeah, I'm like worried about mortgages and like health and stuff like that. Like, not images of me, with rainbow dildos flying out my butt or something like that. And I was showing my dad some of those images one time, and he's like super fucking conservative, and he was like, I was like, yeah, dude, like people get really bent out of shape over these things, and he's like, why? Like he's like, they're obviously fake, like it's just a silly picture. Like I'm like, yeah, they fucking people lose their shit over this. And he couldn't get it. And he is super fucking conservative Catholic, like and
oh man, being thin skin's a chronic illness these days.
Exactly.
Oh
like,
yeah.
I mean,
every little thing offends people. Oh,
I wish when I was a kid that was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Like Fucking stupid. Oh well. And then people get all butthurt about it. I mean, for Pete's sake, while I was on War Campaign, they're sitting there like taking shots at Dave. They were joking and all that shit. And Dave's like, yeah, well, you're on War Campaign. They're going to take shots at you or the writer or whatever. Dave was like completely fine with it.
That doesn't bother me. I can disagree with people and still get along with them.
Yeah, same here.
It doesn't really bug me that much.
No, it was. I mean, I stood up for you. I was like, yeah, no, he's a good guy. Yeah, leave him alone and all that shit. And then
You were all like, "Fuck Dave."
He was like, he brought on pictures. Like, look, I got dildos all next to his picture too.
Yep.
But
and
they
then
were
everyone clapped. Everyone clapped and said, "Yay, Sweens wins."
No,
my take on that whole thing is, I mean, I can understand how people aren't into it. That's fine. And I don't think it's ever sold a book, but I don't think anybody's ever been convinced not to buy a book because they saw a dildo meme. You know what I mean? It's not really my thing, but I mean, I'm not going to get butthurt about it.
Dave, we sold 3 books during that show.
Oh, hey, I need more dildo memes, guys.
More dildo memes.
It definitely wouldn't hurt. But yeah, and then like I don't know, a couple weeks later, we had Sasha do a piece for us, and I didn't know Sasha personally or anything like that. Like I didn't know she had issues with EVS or War Campaign or anything like that. Like I just knew she was a good artist, and Dave and I asked her to do a pinup for us, and she was totally professional about it, and straight up delivered, and I had no issues with it at all. And then, paid her. She did phenomenal work. And then, sorry, keep burping. And then,
Sweens, you're disgusting. Jesus Christ.
dude,
oh my God.
Michelob Ultra Lights that I'm drinking, they're tearing me up.
Dude, you're going to be at it for a while.
Tell me about it.
It took you like 6 hours to catch a buzz.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah, it's going about 6 hours. But no, she produced this great piece and all this shit, and then I posted it out there, and then War Campaign like took that and put like Mike Miller's face on it and put some dildos around and all this stuff, and and then I got all these DMs like, are you cool with this? Like, are you cool with your IP being used and all this stuff? And I was like, I really don't care, like, at all. But if they do it, at least put my book, at least put a link for my book up in there. That's all I said, and I thought that was harmless enough. And then I got bombarded, like, for the next 2 days. People were like attacking me about that shit, and I was like, is it really that bad? Like, I don't know. It wasn't like I was like, yeah.
Like bombarding you because you didn't care that much?
I guess people were just butthurt about it. Like, they're like, you should care more about this. And I'm like, I paid for it. It's my property. Like, I don't care if people take it and put Mike Miller's face on it and put rainbow colored dildos all over. It was kind of funny. I don't know.
Well, let's say worst case scenario. Let's say we didn't like it, and I wasn't too happy about, but I was okay with it. I wasn't going to make a fuss. Let's just say worst case scenario. We were super angry about it, and we're going to sue them. Well, I mean, what? All right, let's say there's a lawsuit. Like I said, worst case scenario. This is stupid. Whatever. What are you going to sue him for? You're going to pay a bunch of lawyers. That money's all coming out of your book, right? That's coming out of your property. And all for, hey, let's just say you win. Well, even if you win, what did you win? All you won, I mean, you're not going to get any money out of anybody. You just spent about a bunch of money on lawyers for something that was ultimately, didn't really matter. Like I said, anybody that was upset, in 2 days, it was gone. Nobody cared anymore. And that was basically us not doing anything. So ultimately, doing nothing is the best option. And that's if you're super pissed about it. And we weren't really. I mean, we were. I guess my biggest worry was some people would think that we were, we were giving them our property to do this kind of thing or whatever to get people to, use against people, I guess, quote unquote. But I mean, within a day or two, it was over. Nobody made a fuss, and like I said, ultimately nothing happened. Nothing came of it.
The guy that originally did it, I sent him a DM, and I was like, "Hey, I don't care if you use it at all. Just put a link for my book underneath it, like whatever." Exactly. And then there was a link underneath it. And I didn't give it. I didn't care at all.
Yeah, with stuff like that, if you just make it clear that, it's just like you did, hey, just throw the link in there or something, they're pretty friendly about that stuff.
Yeah.
Even if they didn't, I wouldn't raise a stink about it at all. Like I said, I've got much bigger things to worry about in my life than dildo memes or anything like that. I always think they're hilarious. I don't see them very often anymore. Like, it seems like they've cut back on it and shit, but,
everyone's busy now.
Okay. I'm going to have to piss real quick. These Mick Ultras are just running through me. And yes, Chris Evans, I do have udders, just to let you know. They do exist. All right, talk amongst yourselves.
So,
alrighty.
So Sweens is essentially a milking cow.
Yeah, he's a human cow.
Yeah.
Drawing frogs.
Well, so that kind of goes down a little. He doesn't have to pay for dairy.
Yeah. So I don't know if I want frog milk, though.
Yeah. Sweens, where'd that milk come from again? Yeah, I'll pass.
You get that same milk that Luke drank in The Last Jedi.
Oh, my God. That's nightmare fuel. I hope I never see that again.
Yeah. Well, I think I saw it once in the theater, and that was more than enough for me.
Yeah. I pulled it up on bootleg like a few days after it hit, and I got through maybe the first 45 minutes before I was just too irritated to waste any more time on it, and I just backed out. I was like, no, I don't want to be irritated. I want to be happy. So I'm getting out.
I haven't seen the new one yet, but it seems to me after seeing The Last Jedi, I was like, how are they going to write their way out of this? I mean, most of it was they introduced new characters and they did all this stupid stuff, and it's like it doesn't seem connected to the first one at all. And then I guess it doesn't seem all that connected to this one. And it's like now they have to write themselves out of a whole bunch of corners. It was like Rian Johnson just came in and just kicked over all the tables, and then walked out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they set up all the tables and they put all the dishes and everything and all the forks just set, right? And they're like, all right, now we just have to have dinner and then finish the dinner. And then Rian Johnson comes in, kicks over all the tables, and says, "See you later, MFers." That's what it seems like to me.
Oh, the guy had no respect for Star Wars.
Yeah, and they spent the next movie resetting all the tables.
Yeah. Yeah, and ultimately it didn't matter. It's like this has been scarred in a way that's not going to heal anytime soon.
Yeah.
All their hope right now is, I'm assuming, going to be on shows like The Mandalorian, because it's the only tolerable thing they do.
Yeah.
even Disney's like live action films that are based off their animated films, like those are all terrible too. Like I'm lost on what people see in those. They're awful. They're boring. Half of the good parts are not even in them. And I don't know. I had high hopes when Disney got Star Wars because I grew up in an era when Disney meant quality. Disney meant good family friendly yet high end film. And now it doesn't mean anything. It's just a conglomerate that everyone hates now, where we all used to at least have some appreciation for it, even if it wasn't our thing.
Well, I realized that Disney did not give a shit about George Lucas when I saw Solo, because there's a scene at the end which is a complete middle finger to specifically to him. There's a middle finger specifically, a big fuck you to George Lucas at the end of Solo. George Lucas changed the New Hope so that Han shot second, right?
Yeah.
And it was a ridiculous scene. It was stupid, and his reasons for changing it were dumb. But ultimately, it's what he wanted to do. It's how he wanted the character to be. At the end of Solo, Han shoots first, and it was kind of a big deal as far as what happens. At the very end, he goes up against Woody. I think it was Woody Harrelson, and he shoots first. He shoots Woody Harrelson before Woody Harrelson can shoot him. I don't know how many other people caught that. That's a big middle finger to George Lucas, because he specifically didn't want his character to shoot first.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me. It's clearly intentional, but I didn't see Solo, so I don't really know the details of the scene, but it sounds pretty intentional to me.
Yeah. I mean, the whole movie was trash. I didn't care for the movie, but that scene, and like I said, I think they're shitting on George Lucas anyway for the whole deal. But that one thing and I caught it right when it happened. It's at the very end of the movie, and it's throughout the whole movie. Basically, the guy that he does it to says, "Don't trust anybody. I don't trust anybody. You shouldn't trust anybody." And then the guy obviously he betrays his trust, and they're one-on-one, like a duel kind of scene, and then he pulls and shoots him, and I'm like, he shot first. He shot first.
Yeah, I haven't watched. I saw, what the fuck was it? The first one that Disney did, and then I haven't watched any of the other ones. I just had no desire and will to see any of them, and I'm glad I didn't, because it sounds like everyone fucking hated them. But there was this one Twitter video that was released, I don't know, last night or today, something like that. And all these people are just yelling at the screen. It's like,
Oh yeah, I saw that.
yeah, they're like, I fucking hate Star Wars. Like, they're just yelling at the screen. And I was like,
It was right, and it was funny because I watched that same one, and at the part where she's about to say, "I'm Rey Skywalker," like one of the guys in front of it just stands up and walks out. Stands up, starts putting his jacket on before the credits are even rolling. He's just like, "All right, I'm out."
you saw enough of it. Yeah. And it sounds like everyone, both sides.
That whole theater was just going crazy.
Yeah, that shit was funny as hell, though. That it was so ridiculous. Oh, it's I I have no emotional attachment to Star Wars anymore. Like, I like the first three, and when they did the prequels, I was like, no, like they just didn't do much for me, and I just kind of got off the bus then, and apparently I think that was I mean, I love Darth Maul. I thought that character was fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, I didn't really care for any of that stuff. I think it was when Anakin Skywalker was racing and he was like, "Wee!"
Oh, that was oh my god.
I think
Yippee! Like, what?
I think that's when I was like, okay, I'm done with this shit. Like,
Well, and here's like
I'm gonna have a life and a family. Like, fuck this shit.
when I'm doing up a script, I have kind of placeholder dialogue where it's like, oh, this has to happen, and they're gonna say this, and I'll go through it later and change it to make it sound either more natural or if I don't think it sounds right. But that'll be placeholder dialogue that basically tells what's going on in the story. And it looks to me like what they did was they kept all for the prequels. They kept all the placeholder boring dialogue and just use that first draft in the movie, because that was the one thing that killed me. Was the dialogue was terrible, and it all seemed so like wooden and just I don't know if it was the delivery or if it's. And one of the things I remember watching an interview or watched an interview when it was Harrison Ford was talking about when he was doing New Hope, and he would be talking to Lucas, and he'd be looking at the line and be like, "No, how do you want me to read that line?" And it's one of those, what's my motivation kind of things, and Lucas would just be like, "Well, just read the line, just read the line." And that's not. I mean, you want him to at least have a sense of what he's supposed to be feeling and thinking in the scene.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, "Well, what do you mean? What's going on? What's going?" And he'd be like, "Just read the line." That was his like direction for the dialogue. And I think the Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill, I think they were enough of actors to kind of be like, oh, we're going to add a little bit more, maybe not without saying anything specifically to Lucas, but I think they kind of had that in their head with their, their training or whatever, actors training or just that how they do stuff. They had it in their head that they knew they were going to do a little bit more, but I don't think that they did that as much in the prequels. To me, that was one of the killer things. To me, was a lot of the dialogue seemed wooden and plain, and it seemed kind of blah to me. All the little jokes didn't really land. That kind of stuff.
It probably hurt that he didn't have his ex-wife around to edit him a little bit, because she helped a lot in the early days. And just the variety of other people he was surrounded by. It's hard to tell how good a creator is when they're left to their own devices. Like, that's really the test of how good is this guy.
With a fucking movie, like there's a lot of moving parts in that, and if you're missing like a good editor, like I always look at Tarantino's movies, and I love his movies, but when he lost his editor, I forget what the first movie was that he lost her at, and it wasn't Hateful Eight, was it?
Which one? He did Hateful Eight.
Yeah, he did Hateful Eight, but he had his editor who was like phenomenal, and he lost his editor, and then the rest of his movies kind of like dragged on for quite a bit. And his latest one, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it seemed much better than Hateful Eight, because Hateful Eight seemed like it dragged on forever. Well, it just seemed like there's some parts that could have cut down a bit. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, a little bit of editing maybe, but it was a lot closer to what Tarantino does. And he's a phenomenal director and shit, but a few of his movies just seem to really drag a bit, and they could have been cut down.
You need somebody on set or in the team that will occasionally tell you no. No, you shouldn't do this, or no, you can't do this.
Yeah, like there's no need for 40 minutes of this scene. People get the idea, and let's move on. But Hateful Eight was hard for me to watch. Like there's a lot of it seemed like just dead time, kind of beating a horse,
Yeah.
on to another scene, and keep people's attention. But God, what the fuck was his editor's name? It's driving me nuts now. God damn it.
Hey fellers, I'm gonna hop off here, but it was good talking to y'all, and I will.
Yeah,
catch up with you soon. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, okay, Joe, you take it easy, man.
You too, brother. Have a good night.
All right, you too, man.
If you guys, it looks really fun. It looks really funny. Wanger's on board. It's going to be a good project.
Yes, that was it. It was Sally Mankey. That was his editor. Yeah. Sorry. That was just driving me nuts. Like, I can't remember what her name was. Like, yeah, she passed away. His movies after that, like, dragged quite a bit. But I don't know if you've seen his latest one, but that was a good one.
I have. I'll get. That's another one I'll get to at Redbox eventually. Usually I only watch movies in the summer. That's really when I have time to do it. Take the kids because we'll do like double features at the drive-in or whatever.
Yeah.
We have a local drive-in, so that's when we'll most of the time. Like this summer, it'll be Ghostbusters that I really want to see. Is Black Widow coming out this summer?
2020. Yeah, it's supposed to.
All right, so Black Widow and Wonder Woman. Shh.
Well, yeah,
the dog wants to go outside.
Getting all sorts of shit online too, but from everyone else, anyone that never cared about Ghostbusters, and they're like, they fucking lose their shit. Basically saying that if you support this movie, then you're like a white supremacist or something, and it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
no, you hate women because of the and what's her name? The chick from the 2016. She was like, again, it all comes down to Trump. Oh, this is something Trump would do. Oh my God, everything isn't about Trump. Not everybody's a Nazi. Not everything is about Trump. Nobody was talking about Trump. They're just making another movie, and they didn't include you in it because your movie sucked.
Yeah. Which one was it? Which chick was it? Was it the?
It was I can't remember her name.
The monstrous woman?
No, it was the black girl.
Yeah, the monstrous woman. Not because she's black, but because she looked like a freaking monster. Like, she just does. Like, there's no getting around it. Like,
well, she did that like kind of whole sassy thing, and it was like, no, come on.
Well, she left social media because of all the quote unquote hate she got from the movie, and
well, the movie wasn't good for a lot of reasons.
I never watched it. I would not watch it.
I'll tell you, and I'll tell you, the biggest thing for me. I mean, I was talking with somebody. I was tweeting somebody. We talked about Ghostbusters today, the original, and somebody's like, "Well, if you look at it, there wasn't a lot of funny stuff in it.
No,
the original, it wasn't like super funny. But the thing was, what they did was Dan Aykroyd. They wrote a straightforward story. It was a regular, almost a horror story. I mean, there was horror elements to it, but it was they made a regular story. Or they didn't try to write it as a joke a minute. Right, it wasn't joke. It was they wrote a story, and then he put comedic actors to play it out, and they did they improvised a lot of lines and stuff, so it was more naturally funny because they had the movie was the straight man, and then they were commenting, they did the kind of jokey comments on the weird stuff that was going on around him. I mean, you still had Egon, who was kind of a straight man. He was, but the movie was basically, it was all their commentary about what was going on, and it seemed more natural that way.
Yeah, but with
the 2016 movie, it was all about trying to do joke, landing jokes all the time, and it was just dumb, and it didn't stick to its own rules, and that's what bugs me is it didn't stick to its own rules.
Yeah, the first one was it was kind of like a creepy movie that had moments of comic relief that naturally spilled into it. It
Mhm.
wasn't like forced into it. Now, I didn't watch the newest one. I just wouldn't watch it. And
You're not missing anything.
yeah, from what I heard, it was what you said. It was just like forcing it. Like this is a funny movie, and not only is it funny, but it's women being funny. It's like,
When
oh,
you have to, when that's the selling point, is the selling point of this movie is it's the same as the last one, only the genders are
yeah.
different.
Now
I don't know. Is that supposed to be a joke? It, like I said, the other one, it was a comedy, but it wasn't a straightforward, joke a minute thing. They played it
yeah.
straight. They played the story straight. And again, another thing, one of the big things that really pissed me off was they didn't stick to their own rules. Like with the Ghostbusters, it was like, all right, we have these things, and what they do is it wraps the ghost, and then you hit the trap, and the trap opens and it pulls the ghost in, and they
Mhm.
set up like a set of rules about how ghost busting worked. Well, when you went to the 2016, there were no rules. You could zap them with your gun and it would kill them, or you have the things on your wrist and you could punch the ghosts and it would kill the ghosts. And
Yeah.
then what? The ghosts are already dead. I don't understand. You have not set up a set of rules to stick to.
The biggest problem
What works and what doesn't, I don't understand, and that takes me out of the movie when you do that.
the biggest problem I have with a lot of that is that like you call me a chauvinist, whatever, but like I don't find women funny at all. Like like I don't find stand up comics like women comics. Kathleen Madigan, she's funny, and then there's not much else. Like I don't feel like I don't think it's funny when women talk about their vagina or like all
It's kind of a very it's a kind of a niche audience.
it's
And
I
I'm not
don't
saying that women can't, because I've met women that are funny as hell. I've met a few that
I have.
were really
They're
funny.
not stand-ups. They're just
Yeah,
like,
well, exactly. That's the thing. I mean, there are funny women out there, and
yeah, I'm not
I
trying
think
to be funny.
I think I've probably seen one or two that stand-ups, but when it's all about the women's issues and
Yeah,
they're a joke. Everything is a joke about tampons
yeah.
and vaginas and all. I mean, that's not particularly funny to me. It seems to me that appeals to a very small audience.
I don't think they're funny. And the funniest thing about all of that is that I know a lot of women that don't think they're funny either. Like
Yeah.
they don't. Like it's just not comical. Like there's something about a big dumb white guy up there or a big dumb black guy or any guy is
Uh-huh.
funnier than some woman that goes up there and talks about my vagina. Like it's just not funny. Like I think it's you know no older women. Yes, that's why I was saying Kathleen Madigan, um, Roseanne. I'm looking at the medals.
Yeah.
Roseanne was she's basically a dude. Like
Joan, but he brings up Joan Rivers was legitimately funny.
yeah, Joan Rivers.
She was a very classical
Uh-huh.
stand-up comic. I mean, she knew. I mean, she was like an insult comic a lot of the time, but she was legitimately funny.
Yeah, I will give the medal that that is dead on. The new comedic chicks out there just they dude it's cringy. Like I watch it, they're like yeah, all of a sudden you hear it coming from afar. You're like it's too late, and it's the fucking what the hell is it? It's the bachelorette party, and
Oh,
everyone's and it's like it's so recycled and turned into your own thing. It's not funny. Like
it's okay because they have a built-in excuse now that I've seen on these things. There's a built-in excuse for women who aren't funny, and I only see it. I've only seen them use this excuse when it applies to women. There's this thing where they're like, oh, well, comedy doesn't have to make you laugh anymore. It's more meta and talking about, issues of the day. I'm like, no, that's a TED Talk.
Yeah.
That's not a comedy show. That's a TED Talk. If you do a TED Talk about women's issues, that's perfectly fine. You can do that. But if you bring me to your show and you give me a TED Talk and on the ticket it says comedy show, you've stolen my money. That's fraud.
It's so ridiculous. It's so
if you're a comedy show, you're supposed to make me laugh. That's what comedy is. That's the definition of comedy. You can't change the definition all of a sudden because your people aren't funny.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll get backlash on this from people, but whatever. Like, it's just not. I don't know. I never thought they were funny. My wife will not go see a female stand-up. There is no way she would. No way.
See, I'd give anybody a chance. I wouldn't pay if I had never heard of them before. I might be less inclined to check them out. But if I've seen them on TV and I can't think of any right now. There's not one I can think of off the top of my head that I would pay to go see. And like I said, it's not that I hate women. It's just that the ones that I've seen aren't that funny. I don't find funny.
It seems like they just take a lot of things that guys say that are funny and they turn it to the female perspective, and it's just not. It doesn't work. It's not as funny.
Have you ever seen that show, Two Broke Girls?
No.
It's written by Whitney Cummings, who I think was a stand-up comic.
Yeah.
And it's all it is one-liner, and every single one-liner is, I'm a slut. I got big boobs. I sleep around. I've got venereal diseases.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the whole show. That's everything in the show. Or it's them insulting somebody else and saying they have, you're short, you have venereal disease, you're this, that. That's the whole show, if you've ever watched it. And it's one girl, I mean, she's hot. She's the one that was in Thor.
Yeah.
I mean, she's hot, but I mean, everything is like, it's all, vag jokes and venereal disease jokes, and that's all it is. Oh yeah, I'm a slut. Yeah, I'm a slut. That's the whole joke of the show. So, and once you've watched one episode, you've seen every episode.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. They're like trying to degrade themselves, but at the same time, they're like empowering themselves. I don't know. Yeah, Amy Schumer. Don't even bring that.
Yeah, she's the prime example of when I think of a female comic, that's what I think of, and it doesn't. And I'm like, oh, well, if that's what I have to look forward to, then I'm not paying any money.
Yeah, unless she like gets blasted in the head, like during her stand up, I'm not going to find anything funny about it. She's disgusting. Move on. Next one. No.
That girl. Who's that? Do you know who Samantha Bee is? She's got a show, and it's like everything is Trump is bad. Trump the whole show. That's what it is.
Of course,
it's Trump is bad. Republicans are bad. Everybody's bad, except for the people I like. That's like her whole show, and it's she's not funny like in the slightest, and it's not because I don't agree with her, because people. I've seen stuff about. I'm not a huge like rah Trump guy. But I mean, it just gets tiresome constantly. Trump is, Trump, orange man bad. That whole orange man bad thing. It gets annoying. And I'm not even a big fan of any politicians. I don't care for politicians at all from either side, even the ones I agree with, because they almost always let me down. But I'm just, if everything is about that, then it's like, man, your show, everybody's doing the same jokes every single show.
Like,
you turn on any late night show, they're all doing the same jokes, and then it's like, okay, I can turn on whoever, and I'm going to hear the same thing. So why bother?
Dave Chappelle's stand up, there were so many things in that I completely disagreed with what he was saying, but it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, it was fucking hilarious. Every, like, pretty much his whole stand up killed me. Like, I was dying during it. And there was, like I said, there was plenty of things that I heard in there where I was like, I don't agree with that at all, but that's a funny point, and it was hilarious, and and then I go on with my day. I got enjoyment out of it,
Yeah.
and I saw his point of view, and yeah, I didn't agree with everything he said, but I could definitely find humor in it and enjoyed it. Like, there's that's fine. Like, that's, if anything, that's what comedy should be about. But if you're just going up on stage and trying to shock me because you're a you're a beautiful woman that just claims you're a slut and that you have a period and you sleep around and it's so tiresome. It's not funny. Like, just stop it. Like, it's just find something else to do because you're not helping anything. It's all garbage.
Yeah, I was watching like towards the end, David Letterman just seemed all grumpy and mean all the time.
Yes, he did. I used to watch him
on Netflix. I used to love David Letterman.
Yeah,
But the other day I was watching. He's got a show on Netflix where he interviews people, and he had Jerry Seinfeld on.
Did you cut out? I think we lost you. We lost you, Dave.
Tell a joke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we lost you for a minute.
Oh, am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. Yeah, it's like he's got the math down on how to do it, and the way he explains stuff. I mean, it's funny, but he's really good at as far as like kind of insider baseball type stuff. As far as because he was in the community during really the high point of when stand up. I mean, I guess stand up comedy's really kind of gone downhill as far as popularity. It was really big in like the 80s and 90s. And now it's not so popular, but he was, he was in it with, when all the biggies were there. So getting that kind of insider baseball stuff is good, but he has a real like a technical ability, not ability, but I don't know the way he explains how he builds jokes and stuff like that. It's just really interesting to me. I just think it's really funny, and it's the same way when I'm telling a story. Whenever I tell a story, I think of it almost like putting a joke together. You get like the setup, and then you've got the kind of build up, and then you've got the punchline. They a lot of people do like beginning, middle, and end, or whatever. And I always think of the end as like it's not a conclusion; it's the punchline. It's what ties everything together and gives you that punch. That's how I like to think of doing a story.
No, for sure, and well, yeah. Really, good comedians are like master storytellers, and it's just very concise, and they cut out the fat, and they hit their beats.
Yeah, it's about timing and wording and saying it just right, because you can have all the same information, and if you don't tell it right, or if you just timing's hard to. I mean, it's hard to describe how timing works, but it's all about making sure you just get that wording just right and cutting out all the stuff you don't need. It's like editing anything.
Mm-hmm.
You want to cut out all the fat and just have just what you need. That's why there's another guy, and he used to date Amy Schumer. I can't think of what his name is. Damn it, I can't think of it. He's a really really like dark sense of humor guy, Anthony Jeselnik.
Yeah.
That guy is freaking hilarious, and all of his jokes are like super dark.
Uh-huh.
But that guy just hits you. Like he comes at you from the. You think he's going one way, and he just smacks you on the other side of the face, and he is hilarious.
Yeah, I saw him on Rogan not too long ago, and when he was on Rogan, he wasn't like laugh out funny or anything like that. Like his comedy is very it's very what it's like surgical. It's very well manipulated and just cut down to shock people and but like everything he says I pretty much disagree with, but he's hilarious. So like I find myself laughing at it and like putting away politics and different ideas on things, and I just find myself enjoying you know
His whole thing, and I've seen when he's during an interview, he seemed like the nicest, just likable guy. He seems like a regular guy. When he's up on stage, he's like and I've heard him in interviews. He's like, that's a persona. He's like, I'm the villain. When I'm up there, in a way, you're not supposed to like me. I'm the villain, and that's why you laugh at his jokes, because you don't see him. That's not really him, and that he doesn't really do the terrible things that he said. It's or you should know that's a persona, and that's why the jokes work. If he was all nicey nice, laughy all the time, it wouldn't work. He has to put on that persona, and he has to like. It's not even just a matter of telling the jokes. He has to do the bit.
Yeah.
He has to play it all. He has to play it straight all the way through. Otherwise, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, and I enjoy it. Like I enjoy his craft. I think he's a phenomenal performer and all that. And I can get past. Of course, I can get past any political things with him because it's an act, and who even knows if he believes what he says half the time, and that's fine. Like
he does get to the he tells cancer jokes and he tells abortion jokes. I mean, he there's nothing that's off limits. So I mean, it's meant to be dark. You're not meant to like be like, oh, and think about it. Oh yeah, I can see his point. The whole point is that he's the bad guy and everything he's talking about is just straight evil. That's like his whole deal.
the metal is so funny, dude. That's a hilarious comment right there. You have to be super dark and messed up to put up with.
Yeah, he was dating Amy Schumer for a while.
It's so disgusting. But
Well, for all we know, her slutty attitude is just up on. Actually, I don't know. I think in interviews she's the same.
yeah,
Now that I think about it, again, like with him up on stage, he has that persona, and then you hear him in an interview, and he seems a totally nice, normal guy. And then
I think
she always seems like a total bitch.
I think she is just a disgusting pig, like more than likely. I think that's really just her. I don't think she has the mental capability of putting on an act quite like he pulls off. And that's not saying that I don't think women can do something like that. I'm sure there's like one or two out there that might be able to, but the majority of them, I don't know. But oh well. I'm when this goes out, yeah, there might be a few people angry, but whatever, fuck it. It happens. Metal killed me though on that last one. That was funny. Yeah, good job, Metal. We all love the Metal because the Metal likes and subscribes
Every single time.
every single time. It just seems like an all around good guy, and he like has really insightful comments too. Because when he was going off talking about older women stand-ups, I agree with them.
Yeah.
I agree.
And you know what it was? It was because back then they weren't victims. They weren't playing victims, and that's a big part of it. Joan Rivers was never the victim. She never played the victim. She never expected people to laugh at her because she was a woman. She
Yeah.
expected people to laugh at her because she put the work in and told the jokes, told good jokes.
Yeah.
So she wasn't about, woe is me, I'm a woman and you need to love me and all this other stuff. She was like, no, you have to be funny.
The metal's on fire tonight. Check out his next. Yeah, is she?
She is related. I mean, that's no joke. She is related to Chuck Schumer.
Wow.
She's like his cousin or something.
Oh my god.
Nothing really runs in their family. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh my god.
Yeah, I remember she campaigned for him or something when he was running. Was he like a senator or something or governor in New York, something like that?
I'm not sure. Good grief, though. That's hilarious. Metal coming through hard. Damn. Well, I think, Dave, we're going to be labeled the most misogynistic creative team in Comicsgate after this, but
I'm gonna have to change the title of this video. Misogyny Gate.
yeah.
I put in the description that we're all upset that we lost Hutt as a potential backer, but now I can put in and then we hate on women.
Yes. No, I love women as long as they're beautiful and quiet.
I'll edit that out in post.
Please don't. It's perfect. But it's 3 a.m. I think I'm going to roll out and head to bed. But it was definitely a fun time talking to you, and especially with our chat. I really enjoy your guys' comments and very insightful. You guys are hilarious.
Yeah, we got a good crowd here. I mean, it's small, but it's quality.
Coming through. Like, yeah, funny shit, man. No, that's great.
Madness in the we'll be going probably, depending on circumstances. I think right now, I'm thinking middle of January. But again, that's flexible. I don't think that's set in stone. Ultimately, I'd like to be at the printers beginning of February, but it's looking like that's probably going to be put off a little bit.
Yeah.
But we're going to work hard to get it in your hands in March, though. That's the ultimate goal is to be on time. I mean, the ultimate goal is to bring you a quality comic. But we're gonna try to make sure that this thing gets in on time. So we're hoping to be at the printer. At the beginning of February would be great. I like to be a little early, but probably middle of February will work, depending on what we can schedule with the printer. So I mean that's about how much time you have. That's about how much time you have if you haven't backed already to get it in. So we'll probably be running to middle end of January as far as the in demand.
All right. I'd just like to thank all you guys that tuned in tonight or tomorrow or whenever you may listen to this. And I honestly can say I don't apologize for anything that I said during the show. It was very heartfelt, and we're standing by it.
Tell all your feminist friends about this show.
Exactly.
And maybe we'll get some negative feedback and get some more eyes on us.
That's what we're looking for.
That's what we want. We want them posting nasty shit about us.
Exactly. Let the nasty girls know all about us.
All right, take it easy, Sweens. We'll talk to you later.
You take it easy.
All right. See you later, chat.
Later, guys.